We need to talk about the Pies' AFLW team and what the hell is going on because I have a lot of thoughts. Welcome back to the Swoop Luke channel. How you going? I hope you're well. We're just going to jump straight into today's topic. Now, the AFLW season has wrapped up, the trade period just finished, and Collingwood were, in my humble, honest opinion, absolutely ruthless for, I want to say, no reason whatsoever. And that's what I've been saying on social media. Now, I know that Collingwood, the AFLW team, haven't had a good run in these last few years. Now, this is our ladder position. So this year we finished 15th. Last year, obviously, we finished last on the ladder, got the number one pick, brought in Ash Centra, who I think is going to be she's already phenomenal, but she's honestly going to change the landscape of the game. 2023, 11th, 2022.2, so the second season in 1 year. 6th, 2022.1 at the start of the year was 6th, and 2021 3rd. So we have gone backwards like nobody's business. Now, 2022.2, that's when 18 teams came into the competition. 2022.1 and 2021 were 14 teams. Now, on the one hand, I understand. I understand list man. Well, I understand list management, right? I've watched the men's team for 33 years of my life, so I've watched a lot of football. I've seen a lot of players come and go. But the men's team isn't anything like the women's team and the women's competition in general. For one, shorter list sizes. So men's have, 44 or 42, 44, thereabouts. The women's lists have 30 players. Now, like I said, I can understand being aggressive, and Collingwood's, the AFLW and the program there came out and said they want to be aggressive this trade and draft period. And I get that. When you're down the bottom, you want to be aggressive. You have to be aggressive. The same goes for in the men's comp. The Kangaroos got aggressive. The Richmond get aggressive. Essendon, all these teams that are down the bottom, they get aggressive to get their draft picks up, et cetera, et cetera. But it's two different leagues, two different competitions, and should be handled differently for both of them. Now, one of the things that really bugs me about the AFLW, and this is one of the things that I see all over social media about why people can't really get into it. It's because you see a player that's played for four different clubs that, you love this player, then they get traded to somewhere else the next year. Then they go to somewhere else the next year. Or you bring in someone for a couple of years, and then because of the shortened season, an injury that would only take 6 or 7, 8 weeks to heal from, and then you can go on and play in the men's team, ends the season, right? So you're not seeing your favorite players week in, week out. Collingwood have been notorious for this, not for their fault previously, with just other clubs poaching. The Kangaroos poach, Brisbane poach. I think the Kangaroos premiership side this year had 2 former Collingwood players who played in 2017's inaugural AFLW game against Carlton. They got poached by the Roos. We lose that, right? So that's one thing that I just can't stomach. You see favorite people or favorite players leaving all the time, not just from Collingwood, from every team. So I can understand that is sort of aggressiveness and why they do it. They're pretty much part-time, that they're finishing their job as a paramedic or a teacher, and then going and playing AFLW, and then training, and then going back. Like, it's needs to be a full-time comp, right? That's not what this video is about. This video now, after I sort of talk about that, is about Collingwood's list turnover. And yes, again, aggressiveness. I get it. I understand it. But when is too much ruthlessness too much? Look at our in. So this is who we brought in. This tell me this is aggressive, right? In this trade period, the draft is happening shortly. In this trade period, we'll bring in Olivia Lewis and Macy Nankerville. So they're both netballers. So with you can cross codes in any league, but you generally see it at Collingwood, in the AFLW. They cross codes a lot. Ali Brady is a young player from Gaelic football, so from Ireland. So that's 3 players that haven't played in an AFLW team. And then we bring in Charlotte Brewer from Collingwood's VFLW side, then got picked up by Carlton, and now got delisted, so it was a delisted free agent. She was a delisted free agent. And then the one trade we make is Ariana Hetherington from North Melbourne. She comes down to Collingwood. Now, like I said, 30 list spots, right? But then if you look at our outs, and you'll see in this graphic here, I've got a year down there. So that's how long they've been at the club for. Marianne Atkinson, 2024. Michaela Hyde, 2024. Selena Carlson, 2024. Charlotte Taylor, 23. Grace Campbell, 23. Annie Lee, 2024. Georgia Clark was actually pick 8 in 2023, and she obviously debuted in 2024. She's off the list. Alana Porter, 2020. Michaela Khan, one of my favorite Collingwood players, just in general, not even AFLW, AFL, just in general. One of my favorite players. She leaves to go to the Doggies. She's done her time. She wants to go to the Doggies, wants a little bit more success. You can't blame her for that. But again, you're losing that senior player who was just our absolute bull. And Lily Rose Williamson leaves to go to Brisbane after a year at the Pies after we picked her up from our VFLW side. Now, I can understand when, like I mentioned earlier, the injuries and stuff. And some of these players here, they have been injured. They've been battling injuries. Like Michaela Hyde came from Fremantle. She was a trade, had a foot injury in 2024, did a couple of appearances, but played, 10 out of 12 games this season. And they didn't know where to play her. And then they're like, let's try and play her in these other spots instead of giving her one spot to sort of hone her skills in. Then they get rid of her. Like, insane. You want to bring players up from sort of, the proper age bracket, which is, some of these girls that we're getting rid of. Like the biggest ones for me, Michaela Hyde, Grace Campbell. She had a fantastic season and was a stalwart in our forward line. I think she kicked half a dozen goals or something like that. But I just loved her tenacity and the way she went about it. And I just can't get my head around when Collingwood haven't been kicking a winning score, you get rid of someone who just tries and tries and tries again. Like Annie Lee, she tries. So and the biggest one for me as well, because I've seen her for longer than some of these other girls, was Alana Porter. I remember when she got drafted, she went pick in the 80s. I'm pretty sure 87 from memory. And they get rid of her, but she was great in the back line as that small back pocket. Then they switched her to the forward line. Wasn't doing too well in the forward line. And they're trying to get square pegs into round holes. And it just doesn't make sense. And look at that list clear out. Like, I'll go through our draft picks and what we have. But when you're losing great talent like Khan is, Williamson, even though she only played a year for the AFLW team, previously played in the VFLW and all that sort of stuff, she's great, a great talented player. You're losing them, but then you're getting rid of other talented players. And yes, okay, delist 3 or 4 players that are maybe injury prone, they're not going to fit into the structure. But when you're delisting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players, and you've got a list turnaround of 10, and you're only bringing in 5. So obviously we're going to take 5 picks in the draft. But again, they're going to be younger players that will need time to develop in an AFLW system. They need to work together, the senior players and the players coming through. But now you just have this huge clean out. And I just think it was unnecessarily ruthless. Unnecessarily ruthless. And like I said at the start, I understand it. I get it. Being aggressive when you're down the bottom of the ladder, when you're not performing well, you need to sort of make these harsh calls. But, if you're going to sit here and tell me that, they weren't performing, or they were, I've seen people say, the girls are, these players have got delisted, look lazy, or this or that, or this or that. You can name another half dozen players on the AFLW list and on the men's list as well. That doesn't, this ruthlessness, I haven't seen it happen in a men's side, especially a men's Collingwood side, for a long time. This just doesn't happen. This is 1/3. Remember, we have 30 list spots. This is 1/3 of the team gone. I know we bring in 5 players, but, stick with me. 10 players is 1/3 of the Collingwood team gone. That you're going to bring in, yes, you've brought in 5 other players, and you'll bring in 5 draftees, and these 18-year-olds and 17, 18, 19, they'll be good. They'll come good, because the pathways now that the AFLW and the women's leagues are developing are incredible. Previously girls were finishing football at 12, playing, then they couldn't play anymore because it was only boys and men's leagues, so they couldn't play. Then they were playing netball and basketball and all this sort of stuff. Then they come back in. Now there's pathways, and that's amazing. And we're going to see the talent absolutely explode soon, right? Well, it's kind of doing that now, just not at Collingwood. But when you're getting rid of a third of your team and some good, really good players, it just doesn't make sense to me. Collingwood, they love like they love an internal, I was gonna say internal investigation, that's not what it's called, an internal audit. Well, when they send other people from outside the club coming to look at our systems and what's going on. We did the same with Buckley and all that sort of stuff when Jeff Walsh came on. I think the Collingwood AFLW team definitely needs that. Something needs to change. Yes, we changed our coach. We've got Sam Wright in there. We've got a couple of good people around there as well. Tom Wilson, the dude from the VFL who was absolutely just a stalwart of the VFL, is now an assistant coach there and all these sort of development coaches. That's great, right? But something needs to change. And I don't think, let's say 8 of these girls, because they were delisted, I think that's just too many, too ruthless, and they're not giving these girls a proper go. There's players on our list, and yes, they're senior players, they're great players, who haven't played for like 1 season or 2 seasons you see in other clubs that are still on their list because they're still persisting because, they've got that talent to back them up. But again, they're not playing. Some of these girls are trying their heart out. They're going there. They're a forward line player getting pushed into the back pocket, or a back pocket player that's getting pushed into the forward line. They need to hone their craft. And that's something that annoys me so much about the AFLW. The list turnarounds, the trades and all this sort of stuff. And you just see too much just bullshit with coaching and all this sort of stuff with how they coach their players in these positions and playing them out of position. And there's sometimes, and I'll say it, like, I love this bloody club. I absolutely love this club. But sometimes, like what I've seen over the years, we've been setting up our girls for failure. And I love going down to Vic Park and watching the girls play, and I love this team and I love the players in this team. But we are setting them up for failure, and I don't think this helps. I don't think it helps the trust of the players within the club. The trades, I can understand, right? Do what you need to do. But when your vice captain, Geordie Allen, is looking at Brisbane and saying, oh, maybe I want to play there. If you had lost Geordie Allen as well, you're cooked. You've already lost the vice captain in Michaela Khan, and you're going to, Geordie's thinking about going to Brisbane. Obviously, it didn't happen because she's still at the Collingwood. No trade was done for her. But you got to think, what is going on when all these really great players want out? It was Chloe Molloy a couple of years ago. There was a handful of players throughout the years. I mentioned those ones that played at North Melbourne as well. I don't know. Maybe there's something going on with the Collingwood AFLW program that I'm obviously not privy to. I'm just an observer and a watcher. But this doesn't, as a Collingwood person, as a Collingwood fan first and a Collingwood channel second, it just doesn't sit right with me that, one, we are the biggest club in the land. Our men's team, our AFLW team, our wheelchair team, our community wrestling team, our VFLW team, and our VFL team should all be playing finals every single year. They should all be at the top echelon of professional sports players, right? Or semi-professional sports players when it comes to the VFLW, VFL, wheelchair and community wrestling team, right? Which I love every single one of those teams. Something is going on with our AFLW team. Maybe the management of the team, maybe it's the coaches. I don't know if it's personal. I don't know what it is. But from the outside looking in, it just doesn't look good. And I went to Collingwood and I interviewed our three new draftees: Georgia Knight, Vola Patterson, Ash Centra. I had so much fun, and they're incredible, and they had really good seasons. And that's what that jovial spirit is, what you want to inject. But then you're getting rid of some of these other players that have tried their heart out for this team. Some of them for years, some of them for a year and a bit. Some of them are battling injury and coming back. It just doesn't sit right with me, and something needs to change. I would put my hand up and say, if there was a vote and said, should we do an audit on our AFLW program? Yes, 100%. Let's do something. Something needs to change. We can't be finishing 11th, 18th, 15th. 2026, we'll probably finish bottom 4 again. I just don't see any improvement coming, and it's just few and far between. That Sydney game earlier in the season, amazing, great. but then we go on a massive losing streak, and we're losing to teams that we shouldn't lose to, and something needs to change. And yes, get aggressive. But this, I just think it's ruthless. I just think it's unnecessarily ruthless. I know you want to bring in new talent, new draftees. You want to probably take 5 active picks. We also, sorry, I should mention, we've got an AFL assistance. We're the men's West Coast Eagles side. That's what we are with the AFL right now, because we've got assistants and we're getting 2 extra spots on our list. So from 30, we'll go up to 32. So in all seriousness, maybe we'll pick up a delisted free agent or something like that. But theoretically, we're probably going to take um, uh, 8 players in. Sorry, we brought in 5, 7 players in the draft. If we're to use those 2 extra list spots, we'll probably take 7 players in the draft. So I just, even with the 2 list spots, put some of these girls on the rookie list or something. I just unnecessarily ruthless, and it doesn't give me confidence going forward in this Collingwood AFLW. And I hate to say that. I hate to come on camera and say that I am not confident in a Collingwood team. It hurts me to say that I'm not confident in a Collingwood team. And I'd say this about the men's team. I'd say this about the VFLW team. I'd say this about the VFL team. Any team, I'd say it about, because I bleed for this club, and seeing us how we are in the AFLW just doesn't sit right with me. Like I said, we should be in the upper echelon. Yes, I get that. The bigger teams, the rich get richer, right? The rich get richer. I understand that. And our Collingwood men's team, they do that as well. Bring in Houston, bring in Schultz, McStay. I get that. The rich get richer. But we're getting poached from all the bloody time. Good players keep leaving. And when you have to play Ruby Schleicher, our captain, in the forward line, something's going on. Something's not right. And that's what I say. Players are just getting thrown around in different positions, and it's like throwing darts at a dartboard line and hoping something hits. That's what it really feels like to support the AFLW team at the moment. And I know I went on this. I just needed to get this off my chest. It was eating me up, and I just really need to get it off my chest. But I want to know your thoughts on what is going on with our AFLW side. In saying that, if you haven't signed up to become a member, members are getting their membership packs. It's so cool to see all the messages coming through, all the photos. Absolutely love it. It's $10 a month. It's $100 annually, and it'll make a really great Christmas present for a Collingwood supporter or a Swoop Luke fan as well. That would be great. You get a piece of merch if you're a foundational member until the merch runs out. Links are in the description or pinned in the comments below. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets, and until next time, double shackers. I'll swoop you later. Floria Pico.